Reddit, what's your worst story about being the third wheel? I once walked in on my roommate in the living room. He was just sat there chilling with a blanket on him. I sat down and started playing. Sparks was playing for maybe an hour and a half, until a girl's voice says I can't do it anymore. It's too hot. Climbed out from under the blanket wearing only a thong. She then ran upstairs clutching a bunch of clothes. The next words out of my roommate's mouth were, "You wanna play some two-player?" Not sure if this qualifies as being a third wheel. I was cock-blocking unintentionally for sure. Was single at the time. Went with a friend and his girlfriend to a concert in the park. They both got pretty drunk, so I drove home. In the backseat, they started to get busy. I could see her head bobbing up and down in the rearview mirror. I took the long way home, so my friend and his girl could get their cookies. I turned up the radio a little louder to mask their noise. As a reward for being cool, my friend's girl hooked me up with her roommate, who was beautiful and an absolute freak in the sack. Karma wins again. Third wheel or unintentional wingman, you decide. I was visiting a friend across the country and we were going to head out and hit up a bar. He called a couple friends to join us, but only one of them was able to make it. She was a cute girl that he'd obviously been friend-zoned by. We have a great time bar hopping for most of the night. I'm in full honey badger don't give a fuck mode and get pretty shit-faced by the time she says she has to take off. We walk her out and say goodbye. Now she gives me a quick kiss and turns to hug my buddy. Now drunk brain takes a second to process that she had kissed me and she still has her arm on me while my friend is hugging her, so I reach over and grab her ass. An ass grab should be indicative of either grabby drunk or asshole hitting on friend's crush. In reality it was both. Fortunately for me, she thought it was him grabbing her, and she proceeded to convert a quick hug/peck into a full-on tongue kiss. They ended up dating afterwards. TL. Doctor, I pulled my buddy out of the friend zone by grabbing a girl's ass. Back in my military training days I ended up staying on base over the holidays, whereas most people travel home. A few other people stayed behind as well, so a few of us decided to get a hotel room and drink/party, since we couldn't drink in the barracks. I'm in the room with a guy I know from the barracks and two girls who I don't know very well. We are drinking, conversing and having a good time together when the guy and one of the girls start wrestling around on the bed. I'm still talking to the other girl and we are both joking around with the other two. Get a room, etc. I go to the bathroom thinking to myself that it's in the bag with this other girl, only to come out to find that the two wrestling on the bed has converted to a heavy petting, and the girl I was talking to has joined in. Before I can even attempt to make a move on the situation, I'm greeted with a couple of looks which made it very clear that I was not welcome to partake. Needless to say, I ended up leaving shortly thereafter alone, while my buddy had the time of his life. This will probably get buried, but I was dating this girl for 2 years and to spice things up I suggested a three-way. She said sure, but in order to be fair we should have one with two guys, the devil's threesome, and one with two girls, the holy trinity. I say sure, whatever. The next day she comes home with this 6'4" massive dude she works with. It's too late to back out, and I guess this means I get my three-way too, right? We start this thing with her doggy me in the front and this monster in the back. About 5 minutes and she starts moaning and completely ignores me while I have to stand there naked and flaccid as I watch this huge dude rail my 5-foot girlfriend. Feels Badman. TL. Doctor, I watched some dude bang my girlfriend. Just went to my office holiday party, a bit late, I know, over the weekend. I was the 23rd wheel. This may be a new world record. Awkward moments. Staff geologist, where is your date/why didn't you bring a date? From everyone. Sat at the table that discussed pet dogs and scrapbooking. I open my white elephant gift. People basically give away shit that is cluttering their homes. It's a picture frame. Stock photo inside picture frame is a girl with a dog. Co-worker next to me says, "Hey look, it's your make-believe family." Everyone lolled. I've got the best third wheel/dodged a bullet story ever. Seriously. Bear with me. So first let's go back to 8th grade. I'm a lonely depressed kid. One day in class my friend tells me she knows a guy who'd be perfect for me. She showed me a picture, and to my delight he was quite good looking. But that was that. Now my freshman year, My friend introduced me to the guy, Jard. He was kind of an asshole to be honest, but I was young. He was a couple years older. I was all over that shit. Anyway, I was hanging out with Jard at lunch one day outside the school. My friend Carissa showed up, and I introduced her to Jard. Skip the in-between stuff. Jard and I become pretty good friends. Carissa and Jard start dating. I'm always the third wheel. It's awkward and I'm fairly jealous. But that was all okay, because then Jard's best buddy murdered someone, his girlfriend's mom, and Jard helped hide the body. First in the trunk of the victim's car, then they got nervous, tried to chop it up and bury it. That failed, so they put it in the trunk of the car and left it in the victim's garage. Jard is out now, dating another one of my friend. Got out and said I thought about you every single day. Safe to say, third wheel is not so bad. I dodged a bullet. My old roommate would have her boyfriend over all the time, and the way our beds were set up I would always face them. They would make out in front of me and give each other massages a lot. Once she even took silly pictures of him with her underwear and bras on his head and posted them on Facebook. You can see me in the back of them, and I look miserable. I went to a music festival with two couples last summer. They both had tents and I just slept in my car. You had to pay an extra $35 to set up a tent. The first morning I woke up and walked back to their campsite to make some breakfast. I was immediately greeted by the sounds of both couples fucking. I left and got breakfast at a vendor. That was the start of being stuck in the middle of everything for nearly the entire festival. It was still a good time, but I don't think I'm ever doing that again. When I was 14, I was hanging with a rather bad crowd. One day during spring break, my best friend, her boyfriend, and I were bored, so she decided that it would be fun to hang out in the school's gymnasium. There were all these fun mats and trampolines around because of gymnastics. Anyways, we decided to play hide and seek with the lights off or something dumb like that. So I'm hiding, and I hear these noises. Yep, they definitely started fucking while I was hiding 5 feet away from them. I didn't know what to do, so I just sat there and waited for them to finish before I went home. A few years ago I found an old friend through Facebook, a girl I used to be close with / had a serious crush on back in public school and hadn't seen since. We went on a few dates, etc. But my best friend at the time kept telling me how much better she would be for him and the like. He knew her from public school as well, though was never close to her like I had been. They eventually end up going on a few dates themselves. We are all friends here, whatever. Then one day I'm in the area, about to finish work, and I figure I'll text her and invite her out for a beer. She says sure, that she'll get ready and to pick her up. I get there, she isn't home. Call her and she tells me she's already at the bar and to join her. She's there with this friend. I spent the remainder of the evening being ignored by both of them while they indulge their relationship further. Eventually we were all walking back to someone's house from the bar, and they've linked arms chatting amongst themselves in front of me. I slowly decelerated, allowing them to create a large buffer of space between us, 1 to 2 blocks, and disappeared. I haven't seen either of them since. So I'm 21, and have a friend, Kay, who's a year older than me, who's been married 3 years. She and her husband, R, and I, who are all good friends, go out to Olive Garden like the classy motherfuckers we are. Kay asks me about my semester abroad and about all the traveling I took part in while I was in Europe. We are having a good time, the three of us talking, when R and I get into some serious shit. We start calling people who walk by stumps. Why stumps, you ask? Because they were ugly as one. This gets a bit out of hand by the time we see a waitress with clown makeup pass by. R chuckles and says me gusta, having spent as much time as me on the internet. I, having spent much too much time in Spain, respond, es like me gustaría fala, meaning I'd like to fuck her. I had already told R about the F word in Spanish, so when he caught that, he immediately asked me what I said. When I shared, the following discussion occurred. So, that's L, Q, M, G, F, Lack McGuff, Lackmf, turns to his wife, hahaha, K, you're my LQMGF. This poor girl, having tolerated our verbal abuse of those around us, albeit within the confines of our booth, so hopefully no one else would pay attention to us, goes, never in my life have I been on a date with my husband and turned into the third wheel. Mission accomplished. Operation Brahman's a success. This was a long time ago in the scary land of middle school years. My best friend had a boyfriend, but she was never allowed to go out with him without other people. So one day she calls me up and asks if I want to go roller skating with her and her boyfriend. I had never been before, so I thought it would be fun. But I had never been a third wheel either. So we got to the roller rink, and I had no idea what the fuck I was doing. I had the wheel death machine strapped to my feet and my friend refused to leave her boyfriend's side to help me. After an hour of gripping the wall and inching along the side, I decided to let go and try it. Well, instead of miraculously understanding how to roller skate, I fell into a split and ripped my pants. It made the loudest noise I've ever heard and everyone stopped and looked at me. To make it worse, my friend and her boyfriend started laughing hysterically and wouldn't help me. I crawled away dragging my pride and pants with me. I once had what I thought was a date with a girl. I was waiting for her when I received a text. It said, "Do you mind if I take somebody with me?" I didn't know why she wanted to, but I texted back sure. A few minutes later she arrives with a gay friend. I have no problem with gay guys at all, but this guy was very flamboyant and got on my nerves. We took a walk around town and pretty much all the time I was walking behind the two having their little girl talk. I had no idea what to do or to say, so I called my little brother who was in town to join us. I guess I wasn't the third wheel anymore. My brother and I were pretty much metalheads at the time. So when the girl and her friend asked us if we wanted to have some tea and apple pie in this little cute pink tea house, we were pretty much done. We took a drink to be polite and just left. Weirdest date ever, by the way. A female friend of mine, who I was kind of in love with for a year at the time, which she was well aware of, and I go on a trip to another city for 3 days. We are staying at my friend's place for 2 nights. She doesn't yet know the dude, so on the first day, in the evening, I introduce them. At that moment, she drops me altogether and spends most of the time talking to him, and I just basically follow the 2 pieces of shit around. When we get to his place, turns out, surprise, he's only got 2 beds. She tells me flat out I don't want to sleep with you, and sleeps with him. Long story short, I spend a night listening to them giggle and fuck in the next room. And the worst part is, when I tell her she badly hurt me by doing that, she tells me I have no right to feel hurt because we were just friends. I don't hang out with either of them anymore. During one of my college breaks, a girlfriend of mine invited me to go with her to a party. We showed up, and the party turned out to be just a dude that she was kind of seeing. She said, "I just want to talk to him for a minute, and then we can go." A minute turned into her and this dude in the hot tub while I sat on the floor in the living room watching I Love Lucy reruns. Awesome night. Not exactly a third wheel, but back in high school a friend and his girlfriend were going to a movie, but she had very protective parents and said it had to be a double date. My friend asked me to go with him, but I had no girlfriend, but he said he would hook me up with someone, so I agreed. When I arrived I saw my hookup, a mutual friend, who was 100% lesbian. And that's how I got tricked into seeing Juno. FML. Another time, another double date, but with different people. A friend and her boyfriend were going to see a movie and her parents asked her sister to go with them and wanted a guy they trusted to go with them. So she called me and I agreed. It was a fun night. We basically spent the whole night heckling them. In junior high, I was prepared to go as third wheel with my friend and her boyfriend to see a movie. I was friends with both of them. It was not a big deal. However, when we get to the theater, there are 2 other couples that we are friends with already there. It's an old theater, so the rows only have 6 seats in them. All the couples occupied 1 row, and I sat in the row behind them for the entire movie. My date was all of their coats piled up on the seat next to me. My roommate rented a movie she and I had been eager to watch. She asked if she could invite someone else to see it with us, so of course I said yes. She and the someone else spent the entire movie groping each other in the top bunk above me, limbs flailing everywhere. I could barely see the movie from the bottom bunk, and I definitely had trouble hearing and following it. The next day after the someone else left, she spent a good 20 minutes berating me for not visiting home more often, and how I spent too much time in our dorm room. Not exactly the worst, but this just happened last night. I went outside the city for a friend's birthday party. That friend offered me a ride home because she was going back to the city anyway. I immediately became the third wheel when her boyfriend decided to tag along. During the trip, they were both getting a little rowdy inside the car. Then my friend started driving only with one hand, while the other hand is holding her boyfriend's hand, and they started getting a little mushy. I think they forgot the fact that I was behind them. Most awkward car ride ever. My ex invited me to a movie night with a group of friends and a girl he liked. I accepted, but the other friends all bailed out last minute, leaving the three of us alone to watch the movie. So much awkward shenanigans ensue that it would take a novel to convey, and Reddit lacks the attention span. He invites her over the next week without telling anyone. I was at his apartment because he and both of his roommates were close friends. I answer the door in pajamas, looking for the world, like I live there. If I had set out to deliberately damage his budding relationship, I could not have succeeded better. When I was 18 to 19, a group of friends and I decided to go to Canada to drink. 5 of us total, myself and 2 other single guys, and 1 guy-girl couple, my cousin and his soon-to-be wife. We rented a double room, one with a divider between the bedrooms, thinking that would be enough. Single guy 1 made it awkward for us right off the bat by renting porn about an hour after we got into the room. 4 guys and 1 girl watching porn on the only TV. No fapping. Going into the other room didn't shield you from the noises, and everyone assumed you were going there for some alone time. So we all sat on the couch. After the hour of awkwardness watching adjective nymphosequel number, we went to dinner, then hit the clubs. Here is where my third wheel choice begins. It's still early in the night, 10 o'clock-ish, when my cousin and his soon-to-be wife say they are heading back to the hotel, and my horny friends say they are going to a massage parlor. It was the softest choice of third wheels. Either I cock-block my cousin on his vacation, or get drug along to skeevy places with my 2 overly horny friends.